We're going to get to some on the field stuff here. We're going to talk Saints on the field. But first, there is some off the field news that I think needs to be addressed in terms of LSU and college football. There's been some interesting quotes out there. Coach O, earlier this week on this show, encouraging people to wear masks. You're seeing the LSU, I guess it wouldn't specifically be the athletic part. Maybe it's, I don't know who exactly to trace it back to, but you're seeing LSU now putting together a concerted effort to get people to wear masks. And you look at the Defend the Spread billboards that have been going up. And LSU athletic director, back on the 19th, even said that they may require people to wear masks in Tiger Stadium this fall. And so, look, whether you agree or disagree with that from like a philosophical sense, I do believe that is a very real debate to have, because like I'm cool with wearing masks when I interact with people, just because I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I do understand maybe if you don't want to, or even if I don't agree. And it's hard to say that you absolutely have to. Like, I know that New Orleans saying that now. I wonder how they're going to enforce. There's all these questions surrounding it. But it does seem like potentially, if you want there to be fans in Tiger Stadium this fall, or if you want to be one of the fans in Tiger Stadium, then when you actually go to the game, yes, maybe you will have to wear one. We will wait and see. Woodward did seem optimistic about having fans in the stadium when it comes to this fall. This was a few days ago. We'll continue to monitor the situation as it goes along. But why this is relevant is that it ties in with an NFL story, the one that we mentioned during headlines. All NFL stadiums are going to cover the first 8 rows of seats with no one in them, and it's going to create a barrier between the fans and between the players and the coaches and the support staff. This is being adopted around the league. Again, agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. It is happening, and it's kind of the first domino to fall, right? If you're talking about potentially fanless stadiums, this is a step in that direction. You could also argue that this is a step in having fans at the games, because as we said, everything is about finding that acceptable level of risk. And if you create that barrier, then you give every party their own ability to kind of find that risk for themselves, right? The players and the coaches then, who may be uncomfortable, a la Malcolm Jenkins, then don't feel like they are being overly exposed in some areas where they hope they would not be. Same could be said for the fans, and the fans get to decide whether or not they want to go to that game. As we said, though, the first 8 rows in the Superdome do represent, it's a nice chunk. It's 6,000 seats. 8% of the Superdome, as Amy just points out in her article. And we'll have to see if this continues or what other plans develop. But this is already going to happen throughout the entire league. And then you have the Hall of Fame game being canceled. There's questions about whether or not a preseason will be had. And now you have Malcolm Jenkins maybe questioning whether or not a season will be had. Malcolm Jenkins was on television yesterday, and he was saying that, look, football is non-essential, and saying that he doesn't feel comfortable until there is a full solution for COVID. And where that becomes interesting is that to me sounds like Malcolm Jenkins is sitting out this season, right? I mean, as far as everything that we understand about the timeline of vaccinations, there's development and the science behind it, like there's not going to be one. Barring a miracle that I'm just not educated enough to realize. There's not going to be a vaccine in time for that beginning of the season. And does that mean that that Malcolm Jenkins won't be there? But to me, the fascinating part about this is twofold. First off, it's that Jenkins does have a lot of stroke within the NFL Players Association, and rightfully so. He's a great success story just in terms of on-the-field success, but also off the field. He's been incredibly philanthropic. He's been an example that a lot of others look to follow, and so I wonder if people will follow him as well down this path. And then what else is interesting, I wonder about this question, is football non-essential? And I know that it is in terms of like, it's a game, right? This is not like a hospital or something. This is not any of these public utilities that we have literally come to rely on for our everyday life and just survival. So like in the most base, just strict definition, yes, football is a game. It is non-essential. But when you look at the impact on community, both socially and economically, I can't help but wonder if football is essential. And I wonder if that kind of changes any of these players' minds at all, on top of wanting to make money and on top of just wanting to go play if you just absolutely love the game. But, like, look at what it means for the community. Look at what sports mean as a whole. I mean, when you look around, there's so much division and infighting right now. But when you go to a Saints game on Sunday, where do you see people that are more united? One of the happiest places that you can be on this entire earth is in the 600 sections of the Superdome. Everybody loves each other. Everybody's hugging and high-fiving. You're all there for a common purpose, a common goal. You're all there to cheer on the Saints and to watch them win and to do who dat cheers and to pay for $17 beers, spending your kids' education money all on those delicious Superdome Bud Lights. Like that, everybody's got their mind focused on the same thing. And then there's this incredible unity that comes from being a part of that number. So that's kind of just the social impact that it has, but even economic, right? When you look at the restaurants and the hotels and the bars, very selfishly, obviously, I have to be upfront about this. Football season is massive for us. It's huge for us. It's a key part of how we're able to be on air and make a living and provide for kids, et cetera, et cetera. So it feels like essential to someone in my spot. It feels essential to a lot of people economically. And I wonder what the evolution of this answer will be. Is football non-essential? I don't know.